out. Apparently, one of our tinnies has a wee leak in it, and yes. So we've got a breezy programme this morning. We've got a nice variety of races taking us up to race 15 this morning. First race just completed there for the under 16 single sculls. Really was quite an exciting race to watch, very close, but all the guys giving it their full effort. And I believe we've got probably James coming over in a moment to give us his perspective on the race. Said these guys were part of the summer program, so they've progressed quite nicely, and certainly looking like they were rowing a lot better than I was at this stage in my rowing career. I think I would have been swimming the remainder of the 250 based on my skills after less than 6 months, but they looked very capable and very competent as they came across the line there, and all very close considering some of the size differences of some of the guys, and but yeah, no, all rowed very well. So JB Sharp is a series of winter regattas, 5 regattas actually. We've got Glebe being the first one of the series, the UTS, Drummoyne, a regatta, Balmain and Leichhardt closing out the 5 of the series. Obviously this series, again as I mentioned, was to really give novices opportunity over winter months to stay engaged, but also practice their skills and home up ready for them to be able to compete during the main series, the actual New South Wales regattas, into the summer months. This is our biggest break in the schedule. The gap's closed down to 10 minutes, so but this is from 9 till 9:20, so a 20-minute gap between the 2 races here. As I said, you can see the quads moving up to the line now, so we're not too far off our next race. We've got looks like a pair out there practicing at the moment. This is definitely not in the schedule, but we've still got a couple of minutes before. No, this is not a race. This is definitely before we move into the women's quad. So because we've got a bit of time, it looks like they've practiced in the course, which seems quite dedicated. They've taken a bit of a stride across, picking up the rate in here. Looks like they're just practicing out. Can't see who this is. A fair bit of backsplash, but they're picking up quite nicely and pulling through quite strong. Looks like their bow seat's just a little bit ahead and stroke into the catch, and yeah. Looks like there'll be good competition though when the open pair is away on race 4. So whoever this crew is, with their bow number 7, which is not listed on the sheets, so it looks like they're quite keen to put in a good show. Obviously, if this was there's obviously just a bit of a commentary here in the background of saying that perhaps it's definitely not in the rules that they should be rowing the course during the regatta. I imagine JB Sharp's a little bit more relaxed on these things given the time, and looks like they might need a little bit of practice to stay within the course. They came outside the boys there in the final 50. Be very interesting. Obviously, the Glebe ferry service continues. I must say that the captains of the little Glebe ferry are very respectful. They come into the bay, really drop the speed off, and they are very conscious for the rowers and very patient with us. For somebody who trains regularly in the mornings and in the pitch dark, sometimes pitch black, they come in and they take a nice wide berth around for their pontoon over there. It's a beautiful little ferry actually. It takes 13 minutes to get to Barangaroo and runs every 20 minutes. I've caught the ferry into the city quite regularly. Certainly the most pleasant way to get into the city, and probably one of the quickest actually, by the time you've jumped on the bus or trying to get an Uber, and drops you off Barangaroo straight up the hill into the CBD. It's not actually part of the transport system, so it's just a tap-on. I think it's about $6.40 a journey. So, but it seems to be gaining in popularity, and I think with the fish markets underway, it's something I'm hoping to see continued for us and the community of Glebe. So we are getting closer, 8 minutes away from the women's intermediate quad scull race. Well, obviously a quad being a scull. I've lost sight of the quad that went out there. I should imagine they've gone round the other side to legally practice with inside the rules. And I've not seen the second quad go on at this point. One of the ladies has just brought me a cap, which is very helpful. I can now see, and obviously not blinded by the sun, which is a beautiful morning here. Well, just looking at the weather forecast here for the remainder of the day, it is sunny all day, beautiful clear skies, top of 19. We started the morning at a low of 6, but now it's warmed up to 10 degrees, and I can tell you something, sitting here directly in the sunlight, it's a little bit warmer than 10 degrees, which is quite nice, particularly if Kim Mackney's warmed up post his boy laying this morning. Still no sight of the quads, and we've got 2 minutes to go. I think I did see a tinny go round the bend to perhaps collect them or motion them on. And we've also got some of our under 16 women's single sculls going out and starting to row up. I've seen 2 so far. We've got some, apparently I've been told there's going to be some good and competition in this. Should be quite aggressively forward over. We've got a couple of coaches associated with the club as well, or multiple clubs. Robin Mackney has been coaching Kelly, Madame Parker, Stella and Eva. So we're looking forward to what is a tight field of 6 sculls in this race coming up. That's the 3rd race. That's the one after this one. we are looking at, and now I can see the quads coming into place. One of them is rowing up and escorted by the tinny. Yet to see the second one come in place. And again, both Glebe crews. Got Annika, Allegra, Grace and Lily. Mads, Stella, Eva and Sophie in the other. As I said, they just recently finished the Learn to Row program. So this is absolutely fantastic. I wish my first race had been so close after me completing a Learn to Row. It certainly would have given me a confidence boost earlier on, and realised that I think when you go to regattas, it's a lot of fun taking part, nobody's judging you, that everybody's enjoying the fact that you're enjoying the experience. I think all these things you know now that you're an experienced rower, but you put an awful lot of pressure on yourself when you go out for the first time. Now there's plenty of space between the two quads, so nice and wide, so we shouldn't see any potential clashes like we did in the first race with the boys singles, although glad to say there was no clashes. It looks like we've got, so really are straddled far apart, different lines and angles. It looks like they could towards the end of the 450 crossover based on their current angle, but we've got the nearest quad to me tapping around now and making a line adjustment. So we're just 1 minute over at this point, but as I said, nice big gap between each race, 10 minutes. I'm waiting for the beeper to go off here. So we've got lanes 1 and 2, lane 1 being closest to the shore. So there's a moment of stillness. Oh, and we're off. Looks like the outside there, lane 2 having a slightly quicker start, certainly on the call, and we've got a real line adjustment here. Lane 1, they need to change their angle, otherwise they'll be off to the boys. They are starting to bring that angle back, but that has dropped them behind. Having said that, now they've picked up the rating, and lane 1 is rating ahead of lane 2. That seems to be at a more controlled rating. It looks like they've got a bit better purchase, although a bit of timing sync there in lane 2. It looks like their bell seat row is just coming back into the timing, and this is actually going to be close, getting a lot closer as we move through. We're now coming up to 200, 250, and it looks like lane 1 there have caught up, and given the current state of play, will be getting ahead. They're all in time. A few steering adjustments to be made there to straighten them up for the course. They're going to be nice and close to the pontoon here. We should be able to see the efforts on their brows based on how close they're coming through, and they're well in time. I think there you go. That's the opportunity to get to experience racing. The outside crew there in lane 2 looking quite nice, and normal rowing conditions as they rode up, but now they're in race condition. There's 4 different people doing 4 different things, and lane 1 here, they are all in time together, consciously and well ahead in course. Nice job, good win from those guys there, congratulations. And that's lane 1, that's Annika, Allegra, Grace and Lily. And then lane 2, yet to get that together. Still different opinions on how the race should be run. And at that point, neither, as I said, unfortunately a boat is not democracy. It is whatever Stroke wants to do. So I think the guys are coming through. And yes, there you go. I think there'll be some post-race discussions within the crew there. Okay, we're going to interview James from race 1. So I've got James Walker here, who was that your first race?
No.
No, it's not your first race. Actually, you could tell you looked very good. How did you find the experience?
A bit annoying. A bit annoying.
Why was it annoying?
Because lane 1 kind of cut in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. It pushed you out. How did you cope with that?
Well, my oars went under their boat, but I still ended up getting 2 seconds off lane 3, so yeah.
Happy with that? Anything you'd improve for the next race?
Not race with the lane 1.
Well, wouldn't that be a dream to choose who could race against? But it sounds like you pushed through and you kept you calm. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good. And anything on the start that you want to work on? I mean, I always come away from a race thinking, oh, I could have done that better, could have done this better. What would you like to do differently next time?
Yeah, probably start like a bit quicker next time to get and like straighter, so I get away from the people and just start like with a good distance away from people.
So the good old rowing analogy: start, get ahead, stay ahead, and win.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds like a good race strategy. Are you in any other races today?
Yes, I'm in the quad. I think at 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Wonderful. Good. Got a bit of time to relax and enjoy before then. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Might ask you a few more questions in a moment. It looks like we've got the under 16 sculls starting to line up now as well. This race being in 4 minutes' time. So James, you were just saying there that lane 1 caused you a bit of difficulty. That was Thomas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In lane 1, yeah. Have you had a post-race word with Thomas about his race line next time?
I haven't caught him yet, but I'm looking for him.
Well, keep it professional. Keep it professional. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we've got 3 or 4 of the under 16s in the lanes now. So it looks like we've got 3 more to gather in and pull round. The quad, the tinnies there, 2 tinnies out there, kind of herding them into the start line. In the meantime, we've got a pleasure boat and a catamaran leaving the bay. A beautiful day to be out on the water. I wish I had a catamaran. I would trying to find somebody else to replace me. But a beautiful morning here. And then also coming up, it looks like we've got the pair of Kim and Mark going out a little early. Not that Kenneth and Mark need much practice. They both had a nice hoard of medals at Masters Nationals. So they should be strong competition. Although having said that, well, maybe it's not them actually. It is them. Yes. There you go. Working on square blade rowing in a pair by the looks of it. So that's always fun. I enjoy that. So we're collecting more scullers at the start here. Lane 6, the furthest, is in place. That looks like Kelly. Lane 5, Amber. Lane 4, Eva. Lane 3, Stella. Lane 2, Emily. And lane 1, Amelia. We now have or 5 rows in place, so we shouldn't be too far off, assuming that everybody is coming through to the line. 4, and I can see 4 rowers. Got another pair going out on the water there. These guys certainly look a fair bit younger than Kim and Mark. Mind you, so do I. So I'm not sure. This is the pair with bow number 7. This is the crew that we saw practicing earlier on. Didn't look too bad at all. Not sure what bow number 7 was. Yes, okay. Well, I think this powers of deduction here. This is probably James and Charlie with the bow number 7 on, which would be lane number 1. Mark and Ken lane number 2, which is the following race. So we don't need to talk about that too much yet. And Carter and Lachlan are also a pair, but it looks like they're just getting on the water now. Okay, so we have a couple more scullers ready to go. Looks like we've just got the 4 and they're off already. That's great, lovely. Got a few angles going on here. Lane 2 taking a sharp trajectory. Lane 3 towards lane 4. And then looks like lanes 1 and 2, nice angle coming through. Tinny keeping a close eye on them, making sure they don't come too close together. They look like they're closing in a little bit on each other there as lane 2 tries to get the best angle and the fastest line to the finish line. Lane 1 holding their angles strong, but it does look like lane 4 is out ahead at this point. Of course, there's always the angle at this point. Accounting for the angle, this could mean that lane 3 may be ahead. We've got lane 2 there, looks like rowing at the highest rating of the 4. And looking pretty strong actually, coming through. Lane 3, nice long strokes, maybe just a little bit of wash out there. And they're coming closer together. There's a little bit close to the boy there in lane 4. And again from this angle that could be, it managed to get through lovely there. Okay, so it does now look like lane 3 is ahead. Unfortunately, and that is bow number 2, so that would be Emily. And it's looking close between 3 and 6 here, which is Stella and Kelly. And we do, what a shame there. We've just got somebody going in that who looks like they were ahead at that point. I think they clipped the buoy. They're in the water. Got Nick on hand there to support them. And actually, it is actually lane, it's actually the lane closest to us, and bow number 5 from I can see in that light, that was the winner there, and that looks like Amber. And bow number 6, sorry, that is Kelly. Well, JB Sharp, we can offer you drama all the way through. That was good to watch. Hard to know where to look, actually. There's a lot going on, so that was good. Looks like our rower's fine, who's fallen in. She's getting a bit of coaching there on how to get back in the boat. I'm sure a number of rowers have done plenty of capsize drills, planned and unplanned over the years, and it's never easy. Yes. I've just been sea temperature 19 degrees. Yeah, you're probably right. You probably want to stay in the water. She's back pretty confident. Got in that boat quicker than I could have. She's probably got a little bit less weight to drag over the side of the boat than I have. So looks like she's up and back into it, and we'll be coming in for I'm sure a warm shower. So the pair looks like that'd be a good and interesting race. We've got 3 competitors in the pair race. I can only see 2 at this point. And we've got our rower back in the boat, and she's tapping just to bring us through. And it was a shame. I think she was in a strong contender there for the win. But now that I've been sitting here and commentated on a few, I can't underestimate the lane closest to us, given the angle. So we now have the pairs tapping up. We've got all three lined up. So we look like we're ready to go. And this should be no handicaps with this race. But we've got some old boys versus some young guys. Some experience versus not so much experience. Although having said that, these I know that James and Charlie, Carter and Lachlan have been rowed now for a few years and are quite confident individuals. It looks like we've got a nice line there ready to go, and we are looking poised. Looks like we're obviously this race is scheduled for 9:40. We're 9:37, so they've just got a few minutes to hold. But we were behind a little bit before, so it may be that they want to kick this one off earlier. We have got a pleasure boat or a boat going out at the moment, so they may just wait for that wash to pass through. And we've also got the ferry coming in, so a bit of pressure on the starter here in terms of when to go and the timing. Oh, we're off. Good. I think that was good timing to get ahead of the ferry. It looks like we've got a good start from all three crews. Of course, looking clean there is Mark and Ken. Our crew that was practicing earlier in lane one closest to us. But at this point it's all looking fairly close and nice rhythm. We've got Ken and Mark probably rating the highest at this point, with them being a little bit older than they need to, although it's normally the younger guys that rate a bit higher. And in the middle, it looks like we've got Carter and Lachlan. The lane closest to me, James and Charlie. And in the furthest lane, we've got Mark and Ken. And at this point, Mark and Ken have got a nice lead. But looking at the younger guys coming through, they're keeping nice pace, good rhythm, and pulling through. Lane one, a little bit of washing out there, a little bit of looking over, but they're doing okay. So actually, I've got wonderful. And that's actually Mark and Ken in the closest lane here. And it's going to be very close between the furthest lane and the closest lane. And it does look like Mark and Ken got that comfortably, a couple of seconds. But probably one of the closest races we've seen so far. Some good performance from the guys. And it was the closest lane, Mark and Ken, that kind of picked that up at the towards the end there and pulled through. I would say that the further lane with James and Charlie looked a little looked like they had the lead at the beginning. They're rating a bit higher. What I can say from the race, some really nice rowing all round. All of them looked quite clean, nice and strong. So, yeah, good rowing. I believe Ken and Mark have always... apparently Ken has always won something here at JB Sharp. So that trend continues. But having said that, I reckon they're going to have some close competition into future years, just given how close that was. So now I've got the winner of the first race, James. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments on the race?
Probably wasn't the best. I think that off-season fitness isn't great, but I'll pick that up soon enough. But it was good first race in a single, so just happy to take the win.
Yeah, very good. Well, obviously, it was the best of the group, so that's great. What do you think you'll look to improve next time round?
I think just race starts is definitely where I want to improve a bit more. I think it was a bit wobbly. That's all. Other than that, I think that just fitness is the main thing that I need to improve.
Yeah. And where did you feel the fitness kicking in towards the end, or when you were trying to lift the rating up?
I think towards the end, when I started to sort of sprint to the finish line, was where it sort of failed a bit.
Don't worry, that happens to all of us, and mine's about 200 metres off the end. Always seems to be a bit painful. Well, congratulations anyway. You got any more races today?
Yeah, in the men's open quad, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's always going to be a fast race. It'll be over before you know it in this distance. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Andrew. So we've got a mixed mixed double scull para. Is that mixed? Oh no, we've got James and Eleanor, and then we've got Mika and Kelly coming up and through. We know that Mika recently won a gold medal at nationals, so we've got some experienced rowers in this race coming through. And the Glebe ferry just making its way out of the bay there again. Just been good timing so far on the races, no clash. Got quite a few yachts and sailing boats sitting in the bay at the moment. Obviously I get to walk down here most mornings and see the numbers grow. Sometimes there's only one or two, but at the moment we've got about 7 or 8 boats anchored up. It's a beautiful spot here actually, and I think the bay is always quite sheltered, particularly in that corner, and with the morning sun it seems to be a popular spot to anchor up. There's a beautiful yellow wooden sailing boat that I've seen moored up different points around Sydney, different bays. I was out on the ferry last weekend and I saw them anchored up near Cockatoo Island, and they've come through here. So what a beautiful retirement life from bay to bay in Sydney. Probably just jump off, go down the local shops and stock up, and wine and sunset every night. Although it'd be a wee bit cold at the moment, for sure. So looks like we've got the two crews nearly ready to go. Looks like Mika's just coming around now to bring us up to the start line. Again, slightly ahead of schedule, 5 minutes before this race is due. So not quite ready to go yet. What can I tell you in the meantime here? We've obviously got the new fish markets that you can see to our right that are being developed. That's looking to be completed. That's a $750 million project across 2 levels. Of course, we weren't too keen about it chopping into our course at the start, but I know that they've been consulting quite a lot with ourselves and other water sporting bodies to try and protect the lanes here. And obviously, I know that Mark and Nick are very involved with the different organisations and companies and so forth that we all share the bay with. You see obviously quite a lot of the dragon boaters here, an awful lot of kayakers. We've got the yachts, the super yachts parked up around the other side. We've got maritime. We've got the fish markets, the old and the new development. We've got the concrete works. There's a lot of moorings for some of the party boats and some of the ferries as well, and also the Sydney Maritime in terms of repairs and maintenance, and the Glebe ferry coming in and out. So there's a lot of moving parts to this bay. It's a bay that's constantly improving water quality and what's in and around it. There's obviously a lot of debate what will happen with the old Sydney Glebe Bridge. They're looking to activate that with the tram or cycle path, but really bringing that back into use. And then, of course, we've got what's going to happen with over the other side of the bay when the actual old fish markets get developed. The Glebe Society, which is very active in this area, have been protesting about the height of some of the proposed developments, and when you're enjoying a morning like this in the sunshine, I'm very passionate about myself as well. I think the Glebe Society want to keep the development down to under 14 stories, but I know that developers want to go as high as 40 stories, which would be a massive block out to this bay and cast a massive shadow. So if you're active or you live in the area, do look it up and add your voice to what's happening to help us shape the bay in the way that we feel that will suit all different users for coming generations. So we're getting close to the start time now. We've got 2 boats poised and we're off. Look at that. They're off and going strong already. Looks like both crews have had a good start. Nice clean start, pushing through. Bit of backsplash on the outside lane there, just as they are still going for rating and not yet settled. And it looks like the crew closest to me at this point, can't see bow numbers of crew members. Looks like they've settled in with a nice sit back at the finish there, pulling through. Bit concerned about their angle at this point. But it does look like the outside crew have now also settled into a rhythm. A little bit short, but nice and quick there, and nice together catches. And then we've just got the crew closest to me needing to make a lane adjustment. Looks like they've pulled that around now, and both crews nice and far apart, both in line. We've got the umpire there flagging at them to move across, which have now made the adjustment. Of course, when you're racing, that's the last thing you want to do. Even if it's nice and controlled the way that they've done it, it still takes away your concentration. It still means that you don't quite push all your power down because you're concentrating on repositioning. And plus also you've done more distance than you need to do when you aren't taking a straight line. So who have we got here? We've got, looks like the outside lane there with James and Ella Law look like they're a comfortable lead. And then with Mika and Kelly, I mean, they're still pushing strong. They're getting quite close here to the bow, but their line looks strong. And looks like we've got win there for the furthest lane out, and yep, there you go. But not far behind at all. That was like a couple of seconds at that. So nice close race. It just shows the angle here is quite deceptive. But good clean race from both of them there. And that was a very fast, I'd probably say that's probably our fastest race so far. Well, I think my commentary will be improved somewhat now. I know exactly where the finish line is. So I was just off slightly, so making some of the calls maybe a little too early. But I've got a nice reference point now. Looks like some of the boys have drifted a little bit now that we're at full tide. Probably just lifted the weight off the bottom, or just giving a bit of a drift. So it looks like one of the tinnies is out there just tightening up those buoys, bring them back into place. And we've got a beautiful little single mast yacht just pulling out of its moorings there. Ready. It looks like another one will join it shortly. Kayaker coming up here on the, actually surprisingly for a kayaker, on the right side of the bay, so that's fantastic. I need a bit more of that. So we've got a women's novice quad scull coming through. This one is a row over. This one is at 10 o'clock. We've got Stella, Sophie, Eva, and Mads in this quad. I've yet to see them hit the water, so we'll look forward to them coming on shortly. And in the meantime, I might quickly run and grab my sunnies.
There is a ladies' quad on the water, but it's from the Sydney Uni Boathouse here. So it looks like we may not get the women's quad for the row over. We have got Kim Mackney out there just adjusting the buoys. As I said, we had a bit of a drift earlier. And if you look out, you can also see the dragon boat is also wearing red. It seems like the red on water today is the theme. I'm sure you all know Kim. Had the pleasure of him coaching us and occasionally coxing us as well in our 8. So we've been having an 8 out on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning. It's always a pleasure. You get a lot of insights. Get a fair bit of language as well. It's a fair bit of French dropped in throughout the coaching session. I've certainly improved my bilingual skills, given thanks to Kim. But right, we've got some single scullers also coming out now. We've got the men's novice single scull next. For everybody in this race, it looks like it's their first race, and they look like they've come through from the Learn to Row program. In this race, we've got Charles Woods, Joshua, and Connor taking part in the races. And we can see 2 of those singles going out now, working through to the start line. So a bit of a pause here. Obviously sitting in the beautiful old boathouse doing the commentary here. It used to be a fantastic fish restaurant upstairs. Unfortunately, we lost that during COVID, but it's a beautiful building, and restaurant upstairs would make for a fabulous venue should it be taken back up. It used to be quite famous for the fish pie upstairs, which I had experienced, which was good. It was a bit bland inside. I think it needed an old 8 and some oars. I reckon a good rower's calf, if anybody's looking for a cafe venture. Of course, skyline continues to change. We've got 2 new skyscrapers going up over Barangaroo next to Crown, and to the left of Crown we've got further development there as well. Yesterday caught the ferry over, had a wander round through to the wharf. There's a great exhibition on at the moment, the Steve McCurry exhibition, famous photographer, front cover of Time magazine a few times. That was a great exhibition, thank you, and highly recommend it if you've not been. It's also beautiful around there on a day like today. There's a nice couple of restaurants. Had seafood platter out there the other week. That was great. It's always a pleasure to be on or near the water. Looks like Mackney's backing up, coming back in. Hopefully he's not got the leaking tinny. Seems to be tinnies do leak a little bit. I think it just get pulled off and scrape the bottom. Always better than inflatables. And also going out, looks like that big yellow powerboat for where people get terrified to death and covered in water. Out to do a pleasure ride. Got 2 of the singles rowing up now. For novices, they're looking quite nice, looking quite clean, taking it in their stride. And thanks to Kim, we've got all our boys realigned. Oh, Kim is just practicing his search and rescue skills as his hat came off and he's in the water. Oh, absolutely. Look at that. If I'd fallen in, I would have barely got my feet wet by the time he scooped back round and got that. That is a pro in action. So pretty good with an oar as well. Fortunately, with the bay has quite a few hard brick wall sides. So when there's too many tinnies out and about in the mornings, if a lot of activity on the mornings in terms of coaching, if you've got more than 2 tinnies out, you tend to always be caught in a perpetual wash. It can be a little bit washing machiney, but seems to be 2 seems to be okay. 3 tinnies out once always seems to cause a lot of bounce back, and of course it depends on the tide. High tide you get a little bit more bobby, and of course the lower tide less so. Lower tide though, you do get that stink that you get from close around the other side to the tram works. Get 2 thunderboats going out, taking a nice wide berth of our single scullers thankfully, and warded off and guarded by the tinnies. I can see some of the women from the women's open quad coming up as well onto the water. So far, only 2 of the men's novice singles out of the 4. So if you're still on the bank getting ready, let's get you pushed off and getting towards the start line as soon as possible. I can see a 3rd one that looks like Joshua with the bow number 3 on there. Unfortunately, because of the distance, I did not see who the other 2 are that are at the start line, but we're still missing 1 at the moment. So I've been zoomed in via the camera, which is fantastic. And the tinny's just covering the bow number there. Number 2 is out there. That's Josh, the other Josh, not Joshua, Josh. And then bow number's just dipping behind the tinny, and that looks like bow number. Looks like lane 1, that's Charles. So it looks like we're just missing Connor perhaps at this point. I've got 3 here. There you go, number 3 is rowing out. Looks like he's the last one to join through. With the ferry coming in again, taking a nice wide berth. As I said, always very respectful of us rowers on the water, and always an on-time service. So all 4 of our novice singles on the water, 3 of them at the start line, and just number 3 just at the other end of the course. So hopefully he gets a riddle on, but doesn't use too much energy before he gets to the end of the course. So he's off, ready to catch up. Yeah, that's good. As I said, a number of the sailing yachts, high number of boats being moored up in the bay here, but a few of them moving off this morning. That beautiful catamaran now also setting off, probably for a bit of a sail. Maybe they'll be back this afternoon, or maybe they'll anchor up somewhere else. We'll have to see. So just given the pace there of Joshua, should just be a minute or two before he's up to the start. This is great, their first race. You could hear from both the boys in the first race today. I think it was James and James. Just how much they enjoyed that. Always love a bit of post-race analysis, self-analysis, and what you could have done. Would you like to do better? And of course, you try and retain and hold on to that until your next race, where you can forget everything, and then kick yourself that you forgot everything you learnt from the last time. I suppose operating under pressure is not often a mindful act. It's sometimes a intuitive act, and that way is where experience comes in. Having done something and gone through it, you become better at managing yourself consciously and subconsciously, and often under the pressure part, you can't always do conscious. So obviously, some people are better than others, but it's always a combination of both as you sharpen your skills as a rower. That is what I find the most satisfying thing about rowing. It's not just go in and do it or give you constant improvement, constant micro changes, learns style, fitness, muscle memory, emotional control, physical control, experience. It all adds up. I know there's a number of sports like that, but it's not something you could just jump in and do. It's something that's crafted over time. And of course, like all things, as you get better, you get older. So it's almost like you're giving with one hand and taking away with another. It's very frustrating. So we are going to do the row over with the quad. That has come up. So that's the women's novice quad. That's Stella, Sophie, Ava and Mads. They are coming around and getting ready to the start line, which is great. That allows the boys in the following race to get ready and find a line, and also gives Joshua in lane 3 bit of a breather, because I think he had to power up to the lane there a little bit, being a bit behind the other 3 rowers. So he's probably quite delighted to hear that. So it looks like we will go ahead with race 6, which was women's novice quad. Little bit behind. That was due to take part at 10 o'clock. But, leisurely Sunday morning. Nowhere else to be. Had a very leisurely morning yesterday. It felt like Yoko. It was great. This morning, 8 o'clock start, not bad for a rower. Again, a leisurely morning. Time for a cup of tea and some toast. And I'm delighted to say that I've been up to Grumpy Jim's for my coffee. And now had a latte me, so hence the constant diatribe that you've got from me this morning. Before we start off this race, it looks like the Glebe ferry is pulling out again. And the girl's not looking completely ready to go either. So we'll just hold with bated breath. So it looks like we're ready to go, and obviously we'll be on this race, as it's just a row through, be commenting on perhaps style, and we can get from that one there. It is good to get a row through. It gets practice. Just do distance, come together as a crew. As we saw in race 4, we had the 2 girls quads. Both started off very well, but they actually fell apart, one of the quads into the middle part with the timing. So the more practice you get together, the better. And again, you get to a point with rowing where actually sometimes there is no right or wrong. They get such nuances between style. It's actually about coming together as a crew, not about whose slight differences in style are different or better. It's actually just coming together as a crew and accepting that style. And they're coming through now. Nice steady pace, looking good and controlled. Again, for a novice crew, looking quite nicely. Starting to lose a little bit of form now. The 2 coming back into timing. It's all the timing around the catch, just a little bit out there. But the drive back in the second part seems to be in time. It can be challenging in a novice boat if you're in the bow seat, because everything's getting to you in a delayed form, so you can be a little bit out of timing, but they look like they're sinking back in and pushing through. And that's just where a novice crew, you just 3 seats, just a second off 4 seat, 2 seats a second off 3 seat, and then 1 seat's a second off 2 seat, and you get a little bit centipede-y. But this is looking like they've tightened back up and enjoying their row through. Still giving it a good hot go. Yep, there you go. Timing just got out of sync there again, but they pulled it back, so good on them for bringing that back. Pushing that through. Looks like they're gonna just slightly drift off the course, but come through. No, they're on course. They may just clip this buoy with their oars. Yep. No. They're through. Congratulations. Nice clean row. Well done, girls. Okay, we look back round and we've got, in the interest of catching up a bit of time, we've got the men's novice single scull. That started off already. They're underway. And looks like we've got an aggressive start there in the... Oh, we've got a bit of a clash going on. Looks like Charles and Josh have clashed, tightened, clung up. Oh, looks like we might be on for a restart here. Looks like we're going to do that one again. Looks like both singles clash together. 4 into 2 equals 2 clashes, but this is exactly what JB Sharp is all about. It is about these guys getting this opportunity to do this and not having the pressure of having this in a standard regatta. This is about them learning what can happen, how to do it. There's no pressure on them. There's no penalties. There's no, condemnation for that. This is exactly what the novice races are for, to iron out these kinks, give them this opportunity, let the adrenaline rush through and make the mistakes through the adrenaline, learn how to control it, how to moderate yourself, all those kind of things. But thankfully none of them have gone in, despite all 4 coming into 2s. None of them have gone in, no damage done, no injuries by the looks of it, so they're just rowing around and getting ready to start again. Well, I've just got a moment while they do that, just to remind everybody, although it's winter, it is a sunny day. If you've not got your suntan lotion on, caps or hats, please think about protecting your skin. Yeah, that's why I look so youthful. I've always had a very considered approach to skincare. Just while we get ready to start again, just having some debate about the development here on the water side and potential impact to us as a rowing club and also to this bay. Again, if you're interested in that, please research it. I think it has yet to be decided by council. Oh, we're off again here in the singles, looking a lot cleaner, separated there. We've got all the boys separate and off to a good clean start. All four of them really going at it from a rating perspective, and just now starting to settle out into their race pace. Again, I would say at this point it's quite close given the angle. We've got lane 3 drifting over a little bit into lane 4. They're getting quite close, so a bit of adjustment here, and that will obviously be interesting to see how they tackle that, how they start to adjust, and they've made adjustments. They're starting to pull apart, which is good, and that looks quite neck and neck there. That's Josh and Charles and Joshua and Connor all coming through, all looking very close actually, very even, and even as well from a stroke rate perspective. And they are making adjustments with the steering, which is good. We've got here, as I can start to come in, got 1 and 2 very close together, neck and neck. That is Josh and Charles. They're eyeing each other up. They keep on glancing over to see where they're at. But it is definitely lane 2 with Josh pulling ahead. He's really pulled ahead here and looks like a couple more strokes. And yep, Josh goes through in lane 2. And then Charles, lane 1, not far behind him. They were very neck and neck, right up there to the last 100 meters. And in lane 4 here, we've got Connor just crossing the line, just ahead of Joshua in lane 3. But again, very close. Well done, guys. Good, clean race. And good to see a nice, from a race perspective, they started off, they settled the rating, and they pulled it up towards the end. So certainly learning their race craft and practicing their race craft. That was a nice, exciting race. Well done, all. I've just overheard the time 1:35, 1 minute 35 seconds, 1:34 for the novice single, which is not bad at all. Some good rowing there. And of course, anybody from prior races that want to come up and have a quick chat, that'd be great. Talk them through what their learnings were and just some of the experiences will be fantastic. People get a bit bored of my dulcet tones, so it'd be good to hear somebody else on the mic. Just we've got, talking about experience, we've got experience in a bottle in more ways than one. So Mark, thank you for joining me for one moment. Obviously, you and Ken there did win the pair, but only just but it's getting closer, and I reckon a year of those guys getting bigger and faster, and a year of you guys getting a little bit shorter and slower, will be a bit closer. Any comments?
How rude. No, yeah, they certainly made us work hard for it there. It's interesting experience against youth. Yeah. And now we're going to hijack our announcer for his race. Yeah.
Okay, I better get ready. So before I go, obviously got men's Cox 4 coming up, which is a row through. Race 8, and that's at 10:20. Which was 4 minutes ago by the schedule, but we are catching up a little bit. And then we have the women's open scull. We've got Sydney University, Glebe and Glebe. So that'll be strong there. And we've got some good rowers in there. And then you've got myself truly in a race not long after that. Okay, I'm going to just pop the mic down. Oh yes, back to the development. Do look up. There's if you are local to Glebe, there is also a Glebe Society that keeps the history alive and really works hard to protect some of the buildings that have been historic buildings around Glebe, and is obviously very community minded. I mean, a great place to live, and so many positive developments done by council and residents. But we do obviously need to make sure that everybody is involved and the waterways are cared for and protected, as well as sightlines and skylines. So in this next race, we have Lachlan, Cohen, Carter, and James, with Kelly as Cox. And so this is men's open Cox 4. The pontoon has been busy, just got the one pontoon, so that could be why they're not on the water yet. And some of them might have had a turnaround in that, but we are starting to see some of the women's open quad scull also getting ready. That is race 9. So as I said, next race is race 8. I won't believe in you just yet because I'm in race 10, I think, or race 11. I'm in race 12. Race 11, unfortunately, I won't be able to commentate for, but that does look like a good one. That's going to be men's handicap single scull with 8 rowers in that race. I think that's the one with the most. And we've got some big names in that. We've got Mark Tejan. We've got the Lachlan's, James, Charles, Carter, Andrew Goldstein. I think we're going to put in a wave cutter with an anchor out the back, and just to make sure he's well and truly penalised. So we've got a real mixture here. We've got Robert, who's joined Glebe recently. He has he's an experienced rower, but not been on the water for nearly 25 years. So raced for 25 years. So a few people dusting off some of their experience here. So we've got the women's quad. So I don't think the men's Open 4 Cox 4 has happened because we've now got up to the start line the women's quads. As said, in lane 1 we've got Glebe with Emily, Grace, Isabella and Ella. Bella and Ella. And then we've got lane 2, Sydney University, Lisa, Jane, Jodie and Emma. And then in lane 3 we've got Glebe, Kitty, Portia, Aria. Okay, so this is race 9 at 10:30. We're at 10:29, so it looks like we're ready to go. The crews oars are ready. They're all in position. Looks like lane 1 is just touching up a little bit. We're all touching up a little bit now just to get the right lane. And they're all poised, 3/4 half slide, ready to go. Should be hearing the siren and the buzzer go off any moment. Just touching up a little bit more. So we've got Sydney in the middle lane, shrouded by 2 Glebe crews. Nice space between them and a bit of experience here in this these crews. So we should see a nice clean race. Should be a very quick race, given it being an experienced quad. We are looking poised, ready to go. No movement from the crews, which is always a sure sign that they're ready. Oars buried. You can just see the tips of the Sydney crews oars just poking out. One of the oars in lane 1 from Glebe, just a little bit sky there, just touching a little bit more. It just looks like we're looking for sport boat. Oh, and they're off. Okay, quick start. All 3 crews coming through. Looking very clean. Nice push through in the outside lane, lane 1, Glebe. We've got lane 3 coming closer through. The gap is closing between the 2 crews. This is looking like it's going to be very quick. Nice push through there, like really good finishes. Particularly out in the far lane there. They look really controlled. Really making the most of their stroke all the way back. But it is looking neck and neck between Sydney University and the Glebe crew closest to us. Pushing lane 3 back a little bit towards the shore as they started to come across and pushing Sydney out a little bit. But we have got the furthest lane looking well and truly under control of this race. 1 seat looking back there. It's amazing. 450 is only a short race, but when you're going flat out, you still want to know where that start line is. And of course, no cocks, so just giving a bit of guidance, making sure they're holding the line through. Looks like this will be a Glebe 1 and 2. It's in the crew. It's good. And lane 1. Looks like lane 3 is going to take. Looks like lane 3's got this one. Lane 1 just behind. Really starting to close up the gap there. And then Sydney University in 3rd place. Coming through just now. Nice clean rowing from the Sydney girls. Just a little bit lower rating than the Glebe crews. That seemed to be probably 3 or 4 points higher on the rating. But potentially a little bit more. A little younger, the Glebe crews might have been able to lift that rating up there, particularly in the end. And that was looking really close. Only probably a second or 2 between the 2 Glebe crews. That was fast. You wouldn't well have blinked doing that one. I hope nobody went to the loo at that point. So, good race. Okay, I'll be leaving you. Enjoy the rest of the racing, and I'll be back shortly.
And thank you very much to Tom, who's been running the commentary for the morning so well on behalf of Glebe Rowing Club. We're about 5 minutes away now from the start of the women's handicap single sculls. And you can see just in the distance there, the crews are already getting ready to line up and get the best position on the course. I've got a very light wind today, quite mild conditions, especially for the first regatta of a winter series. It's fantastic to see that we're fine and sunny, just a very, very light cross tailwind coming up now. And that'll be playing into the minds of all of these scullers, as you can see that each one of them is trying to take a position at the start line that'll give them the best advantage down this course. Fantastic sprints course here in the Blackwattle Bay. Even with the development of the new fish markets at the end of the course here, there is a wonderful 450 metre straight. Quite a nice wide course, very sheltered, and so we're blessed with some really good weather for the rest of the racing. Now, as you can see lining up here, we have 7 rowers in this event. From lane 1 we have Catherine Nato of Abbotsford. Lane 2 is Stella Moore from Glebe. Lane 3, Yvonne Konchek from Abbotsford. Lane 4, Inez Rowe from Abbotsford. Kelly Clifton from Glebe will be in lane 5. Poppy Hartley from Glebe in lane 6. And Lucy Yabsley from Glebe in lane 7. This race is for the BMG Aviation Cup and is part of the Handicap Sculls races that define one of the most interesting events in the JB Sharp series. So here, lanes 1, 2, 3 and 4 will all be off go. Lanes 5 and 6 and 7 will be off handicaps of 5 seconds, 10 seconds and 15 seconds respectively, all with the intention that we see an incredibly exciting finish with all the rowers coming down as close as possible. Now each year the series runs for 5 regattas, and the combined point score of the Handicap Sculls races across those 5 find the Handicap Sculls champions of the men's and the women's events. So there is somewhat of a competition that is fought between the scullers themselves during the race, and a bit of a competition that's fought between the scullers and the handicapper, whose job it is to try and get everyone over the line completely evenly. What we'll find after this event is that each of those handicaps will be adjusted based upon the results of this event, with the handicaps changing throughout the season and the scullers competing accordingly. So it looks like we're just about ready to get started, with the crews now pretty much all lined up. You can see that there's a couple of crews there sitting, pointing their bows slightly into the wind. Hopefully they'll adjust that course by the time they get started, but that is a good technique to try and avoid being blown too far across the course when you're waiting for your start. Now 15 seconds will be the last sculler, Lucy Yabsley in lane 7 from Glebe, with Poppy Hartley on 10 seconds, Kelly Clifton on 5 seconds. Each one of those scullers has competed in the handicaps before, and it looks like we have a start now. So I'll hand over at the moment because we are running a 1-team commentary and video. So to follow this race down right now, we'll need to stop the commentary. Yeah. Oh, and can you catch that as it comes down? Well, what a finish there. We had some very, very close calls there for second and third, and I think for fifth and sixth as well. We'll wait for the official results there, but a very, very fast race from all competitors, and absolutely fantastic to see the speed at which those rowers were able to come down that course. Now, provisionally, it looked like that might have been Glebe's Stella Moore that came over the line first, but we're waiting for the officials to confirm, with Catherine Nato possibly in second. But we will once again wait for the officials to review the photo finish on the line here to make sure that we've got those results in the correct order. In the meantime, though, you can see the scullers there getting ready to get back onto the pontoon, and the rowers in the men's handicap scull already heading up to the start line. We'll have those results through for you shortly. How'd you go? Did you get them all? Just give me a sec. What were they in the end? Oh, so lane 2 first. Yep. 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 Okay. Okay, we've got those official results in now for the women's handicap single scull. And in first place was lane 2, Glebe Stella Moore, with second place, in fact, lane 5, Glebe Kelly Clifton. Third place was Glebe's Lucy Yabsley in lane 7. Fourth place, Inez Rowe from Abbotsford in lane 4. With fifth place, Poppy Hartley from Glebe in lane 6. Sixth place, Yvonne Konchek from Abbotsford in lane 3. And lane 1, Abbotsford 2, Catherine Nato in 7th place. Turning now to the men's handicap single scull. And if you see any movement past the camera this morning, it's all happening down here at the Sydney University Women's Rowing Shed, where the commentary team and the finish line is currently situated. We've got crews coming in and out everywhere as we see a fantastically busy day for the Glebe JB Sharp Regatta. We're moving up here now to the men's handicap single sculls. It's due to start in a couple of minutes. It's an extremely large field here for the men's handicap single scull event, with very large number of competitors. Starting at the top, we've got, in fact, this is an entirely Glebe field in this event. We have Charles Mann, Robert Dallimore, Carson Prout, Sam Greenwood, Liam Young, Mark Teachin, James Fifield, Lachlan Larson, Lachlan Struthers, Carter Clifton, Charlie Slack and Andrew Goldstein, all of Glebe racing in the men's handicap single sculls. So we're going to see a very, very unique race here, as there's probably some club pride that's going on the line in this event. Charles Mann and Robert Dallimore will be off go, with Carlson Prout, Sam Greenwood and Liam Young off 5 seconds, with Mark Teachin, James Fifield, Lachlan Larson, Lachlan Struthers, Carter Clifton and Charlie Slack all off 10 seconds, and Andrew Goldstein off 15 seconds at the back of the field. It'll be very interesting to see Andrew come through that field and how much of a handicap that 15 seconds really holds him back. So although there's still a couple of minutes towards the start, you can see that most of the scullers are already on the start line there. If anyone is having any difficulty seeing that start, you can access our live stream from our YouTube link. If you can go to the Rowing New South Wales page where the live results are being published, you'll find the link to the live stream there. You'll also find important information about the JB Sharp series on the New South Wales Union of Rowers website, which you can also access directly from jbsharpregatta.org, and that will take you through to the Union of Rowers page with all the program rules and history of the series, as well as the results of prior regattas and the event details for this year. So what we're seeing now on the live stream is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scullers that are lined up there. So we are missing a couple of scullers. There are a couple more minutes to the start time. But given the rowers that are also entered into the men's open quad scull, there's a couple of short turnaround times there for rowers like Mark Teachin, who is competing in both events. So it may be that we don't necessarily see him out on the course now, although that would be a real shame. He's an absolutely powerful sculler, and it would be great to see him come down this race. With only a couple more minutes now to go to the start, it looks like we've now got 10 competitors out there. So this is looking like it's going to be a very big and very fast event. Once again, with beautiful, very fast conditions here, that cross tail is now swinging around to almost being a direct tailwind. And we've got a start. Well, that was a fantastic finish for those scullers, and it was amazing to see. I thought that our prior commentator, Tony, was joking when he was saying that one of the scullers would be handicapped with a wave cutter and a weight out the back, but nope. Coming up through the course there was indeed a bright red Glebe wave cutter, together with a number of other racing boats, and it was right in the mix, I have to say. It was fantastic to see. Wave cutters obviously being boats created by Race 1 Australia, A fantastic combination of durability and stability for a new rower, as well as, obviously, you can see today, the ability to get out and race every so often. Some really fantastic finishes there through that race, but also what you would have noticed is that it's very important to keep rowing through the finish line. There are a couple of scullers there that stopped just before they got to the end, and that may have made a couple of all-important differences in positions, which we will see reflected in the point score as we come up through the series. Of course, we assume when we see a rower stopping just before the finish line that that's an accident. But in this race, as I mentioned before, it's a constant foxing game between the handicapper and those rowers. So you may have also seen a little bit of strategy playing out there. We'll never know. All right, we're coming up to race 12 now, which is the men's open quad scull. There are 3 crews in this event, including our own intrepid commentator, Tony Rogers, racing with Glebe captain Nick Galea, Mark Teachin and Kenneth Major. That should be a very, very fast crew. Quite a lot of experience in that boat as well. In lane 2, we have Nick Byrne, Thomas Kim, Christopher Wu and James Wagner. And lane 3, we have Milo Gibney, James Walker, Max Alchin and Max Mills. Now, I heard a little bit of discussion about this race, and we'll see it as it comes down now, but apparently this is one which you could call experience against youth. We'll see how they go as they cross the finish line. They've got some amazing things happening here down the course, as you see the old Glebe crew out in front at the moment, possibly summoning the very forces of nature to build up a downwind advantage. So coming through, probably in the low 30s there with rate. Just powering through the middle of the course here. Got a very close race happening here between second and third, but you can see the Glebe Experience crew coming through in lane 2. Straight over the finish line there in lane 2, right in the centre of the course. The second Glebe crew in lane 2 being the juniors closest to the pontoon. And third place there being Glebe lane 1 out on the far side of the course. Absolutely flying down this course. They couldn't have gone quicker if they'd put up a sail. So the crew coming over the line there in first place was the crew wearing lane number 2 and racing in the middle of the course, but in fact lane 1 in your programs. That is the crew of Tony Rogers, Nick Galea, Mark Teachin and Kenneth Major, with Nick Byrne, Thomas Kim, Christopher Wu and James Wagner coming in second place in front of Milo, Gibney, James Walker, Maximilian Olchin and Max Mills. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a short early lunch break here, so the next race will be on at 11:30. So in the meantime, if you have the chance, I'm sure that you'll be able to see some fantastic activity down at the Glebe rowing shed. And I know that I, for one, will be looking around to see if they've got a barbecue running at the moment. If not, there are some fantastic walks that you've got up to the start line here along the foreshore. Really lovely space down here at the Blackwattle Bay rowing course. And once again, just echoing Tony's comments earlier, the areas on the harbour that are used for passive water recreation, just like this, are always under threat from overdevelopment. So please check out the Glebe Association website and the information that they've got about the proposed developments on the other side of the bay. Obviously, we want to see as much use of the bay as possible for passive recreation and for open public use. So the more that we can see this harbour used and see competitors being able to race safely and hold events like the JB Sharp Series and the summer regattas down here, the better we will all be.
Hi all, welcome back. I am fresh from the quad race. I can tell you something, the short distances are very high rating. It does actually suit the younger rowers. Obviously the older rowers not quite able to get as much power down. However, having said that, we did manage to get that win, but only just. I think we're all a bit short breath after that. So I've got some results for you for the races so far this morning. Starting off with race 1 this morning, where we saw the men's under 16 singles. That was a good race. We had in first place James Wagner, who had a winning time of 1 minute and 37 seconds and 0.7, and had a margin of 5.75 seconds over second place Max Mills, and Max Mills had a margin of 0.66 over third place Thomas Kim. So some well done to James, Max and Thomas there. Close rowing through the whole of that race. Second race, race 2, obviously women's intermediate quad scull. 2 crews in this, both of them Glebe. Lane 1 was first place, Glebe with Annika, Allegra, Grace and Lily, with a winning time of 1:38.43 and a margin over the other crew of 15.68. Race 3, women's under 16 single scull. There were 6 entries but 4 crews that took place. First was Kelly Clifton, who had a winning time of 1 minute 43.12 and a winning margin of 3.44 over Stella Moore, who was in second place, who had a winning margin of 19.26 over third place Amelia Johnson, and fourth was Emily Barrett. Race 4, men's open pair. 3 crews took part in this race, and at this point is our fastest race, with a winning time of 1:23.5. That was Mark Tejan and Ken Major, who had a 2.1. This was a close race, 2.1 second lead over second place James Fifield and Charlie Sack, who had again just only a 2.74 lead over third place Carter Clifton and Lachlan and Struthers. Race 5, the para double scull. This was a race time of 1:46.72, good race time. First place was James Johnson and Eleanor Taylor. Second, but with only a 1.76 gap, was Mika, Kelly and Kelly Clifton. Nice close race there. Race 6 was a row through. And that was Stella, Sophie, Ava and Mads, who had a time of 2 minutes 5 seconds .71. Race 7. Race 7 was the men's novice single scull. First place was Josh Dallimore, who had a winning time of 1 minute 35 seconds .87. He had a lead over second place Charles Woods by 2.48 seconds, and third place was Connor Walker, followed by Joshua Kim. Race 9, women's open quad scull. This was 2 Glebe crews and Sydney University. It was the lane 3 Glebe crew that came in first, Kitty, Portia and Audrey. That had a winning time of our second fastest time so far today, 1:27.5. It was close. They had a margin of 1 second and 26, 1.2 seconds over the second Glebe crew, Emily, Grace, Isabella, Bella and Ella. And then third place, Sydney University. Race 10 was the women's handicap single scull. We had a race time of 1 minute 41 and 27 seconds. First place was Stella Moore, who had a 3.41 second lead over Kelly Clifton in second place, who had a 0.4 second lead. And we're underway in our next race. This is the men's novice scull, so this is a row through. But we have the crew comprised of Connor Walker, Charles Wood, Josh Dallimore and Joshua Kim. And this is a good practice for them coming through. Looking like they're getting some good purchase there with their oars. Timing in sync. Little rush forward to the catch, but this is a high stroke rate sprint race with 450 meters. Keeping a good line, keeping good pace as they push through. Halfway through the race now. No change in tempo, maybe a little bit more length around the back, which they seem to have in place. Stroke taking control of the crew. Timing fairly good for a novice crew. Continue to pull through. Stroke seat there, a nice lean back and pulling through. Stroke and 3, nice in time. 2 and 1, keeping nice tempo despite a little bit of a size difference there between 2 and 3 seat. Looking really quite clean as they come through to the finishing line just about now. Well done, gentlemen. That brings us up to race 13. I've given you results up to race 10. I'll be back with you shortly for results for race 11, 12 and 13. That was race 13, a Glebe crew with Connor, Charles, Joshua, and just been informed that Joshua's been seat swapped with Finn, so well done to Finn, who is also in that crew. Okay, so now we've got the results for race 10, 11, 12 and 13, and some fast times here. So far our fastest race time is 1:27.5. That was for the Women's Open Quad. Also we had a 1:23 Men's Open Pair. So the Men's Open Pair was the fastest time so far, followed by Women's Open Quad. So now we go to the Women's Handicap Single. 7 rowers in this race. Winning time of 1:41.27, and that was for Stella Moore in Glebe, followed by Kelly Clifton in second place, and then third Lucy Yabsley. Then we move to the men's handicap single scull. We had 10 competitors in here, and we have a great race time in the single of 1:29.68. It's our third fastest time so far. Our winner was Robert Dallimore, who's returning to racing after 25 years off the race course, but certainly looking in control. Second was Charles Mann. Third spot was Carter Clifton. Fourth was Carson Prout. Fifth, Sam Greenwood. Sixth, Charlie Slack. Seventh, James Fifield. Eighth, Lachlan Larson. Ninth, Lachlan Struthers. And 10th, Andrew Goldstein. Moving on to the men's open quad, with a race winning time of 1:18.9, a fastest race so far, as you'd expect. First place is Glebe, Tony Rogers. That was Chris, Mark Tejan and Ken Major in first place, followed by Glebe of Nicholas Bayer, Thomas Kim, Christopher and James Wagner. And then in third place, Milo, James, Max and Max. And then last race we just saw was race 13. That was the men's novice quad. That was a row through with Connor, Charles, Josh and Finn, and a race time of 1:37.49. Okay, we're looking ready. We've got a crew at the start line now for race 14, but we're not quite ready for race 14 yet. Looks like we've got women's intermediate coxswain pair coming through. We should have 4 in this race.
And ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the women's intermediate coxless pair coming down the course now. There were 4 starters on the list for this event. However, there are only two crews that are out there competing today. Lane 3, Emma Hutchinson and Cecile Ferrer was a scratching. And so we have lanes 1, 2 and or 4. And we'll just see if we can get you those lane numbers now. But you can see lane 4 much further out, right out in the chop at the moment. They look like they might have just edged out the other crew at this stage, but still very, very close and a tough angle to look at from the finish line at this point. And we're told the other crew at the moment is lane 1. That's Elizabeth Dorian and Gemma Bassett. So they're competing against Isabella Bain and Ella Bernard. Now you can see as the crews get closer to the finish line here, that margin is narrowing considerably. Lane 4 just with the advantage at the moment, and lane 1 coming through very, very strongly here to the finish. This is going to be a very, very close finish. Keeping an eye on these girls, it's less than a length separating them. And unofficially, it looks like lane 4 may have just had that by about 1.5 seconds. But what a finish there from lane 1. Just waiting for the official results to see if they managed to pip them over the line. But a very, very strong finish there from lane 1 as they came up, having given away a couple of seconds off the start. And just hearing there the official results, lane 4 managed to hold on at the end there, just staying ahead of lane 1 over the line. But what a very fast race there from those two crews. So Isabella Bain and Ella Bernard coming over the line there, just ahead of Elizabeth Dorian and Gemma Bassett. Congratulations to both crews though for a very exciting race. Just hearing over the water there, the crews congratulating each other with the traditional 3 cheers at the end of the race. It's fantastic to see such a good show of sportsmanship from both crews. And we are looking forwards now to the last race of the day, being the men's Open 8. That's ready to set off at 11:50 a.m. There are 2 Glebe crews in that boat. And once again, borrowing from some of Tony's earlier words, this may be one of those races of experience against youth. We have Glebe in lane 1, James Fifield, Charles Mann, Lachlan Larson, Cohen Parker Burton, Lachlan Struthers, Carter Clifton, Charlie Slack and Carson Prout, with Kelly Clifton coxing. And in lane 2, we have Christopher Wu, Sebastian Blore, Robert Delamore, Andrew Goldstein, Tony Rogers, our intrepid commentator, Nick Galea, captain, Mark Teachin and Ken Major, with Keddy Elias coxing. So we'll wait for those crews to get onto the water, and that will be our last race of the day. Oh, they are apparently on the water, and if we look up to the start line, we should be able to see them coming around the corner very soon from their warm-up rows. So they're out and on the water and on the course already. Terry, do you remember, I don't mean directly, but History of the Sharp series, we had 2 years that wasn't rowed during World War II? Or was it 1 year?
Hey, Terry's not that old.
That's why I had to say not directly. I heard what I said halfway through.
You'd have to just look on the...
I'll have a look at the archives. Yep. Oh, right.
Yeah, have a look at the records there.
Terry said we didn't have it then. They didn't have it. Yep.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's a different Water Cup. I'm not sure about racing.
Well, so the Sharp Cup is awarded for each one of those years groups. For the end of the 40,
Yeah, they did race it, but they didn't win the cup.
so they didn't award the Water Cup.
That's right.
Yeah, you're thinking about handicap stuff.
No, I was thinking about Water Cup.
Well, yeah, so Walker and Hall is the handicap stats race.
Yeah.
So you've got the cup was awarded for a year all the way through. Although I have to say, I think that might actually be a possibility.
I thought they would have been already down. No, they aren't. We got both race up there.
I'm just going to check someone else because I think that may not have been
I think the other one. We would have got nearly all that off the trophies.
Yeah.
So it would have, if it's there, it would have happened. I know the New South Wales Rowing Association stopped regattas during the Second World War.
Yep. I might just check.
With series probably went on.
So I'm going back to one of the earlier years point scores. I'm just going to make sure that it's not a file issue because you know how you've got the point score for every year up there. I thought that in one of the earlier years there were a couple of years that were missing and it said cancelled due to Second World War. But in the 2022 one I've just looked up, it's not in that. So I'll have a look at say the 2015 or 16 one and see if there's. Oh, that's interesting. Remember that error that we had getting access to some of the files? Some of the old ones are coming up with that same error. There's the other eight.
Went to a training run to learn what they don't learn. Get together. One after the other.
Yeah, Terry, I must be completely wrong. In that case, that means that I think we're on the 98th regatta this year for the 99th year. Because it's only then the 1 year.
Yeah, with COVID.
Yep.
COVID's the only thing we did.
Yep.
They didn't stop the war, they did stop the game. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a fast start here, I would say, for the men's Open 8s. The two Glebe crews are on the line. We look like we're pretty much ready to go. 2 minutes to start time on the official time. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see these crews take off a little bit earlier than that. This will be a very quick race, and here they go. So it looks like a pretty good start from both crews there. A lot of white water coming up off those blades. We can see that the weather has now started to turn and there's quite a strong tailwind for these crews to contend with. Nothing quicker now than 2.8s racing straight down the line of a tailwind on a sprints course. We should see some of the ratings getting quite high today. Looks like that lane 1 crew, they should be up in the mid-30s just there. Everyone really holding onto those oars quite firmly, making sure that those waves are not going to catch them and take them out. Almost nothing in this as they come up to the finish line already. But it looks like Glebe 1 might just have the benefit. That inside course as they come over the finish line. And by just over a length there, Glebe lane 1. taking it out over the more experienced Glebe Lane 2 crew. That was an extremely quick race coming all the way down the line there. I think the wind has taken out that second hooter, but there would have been less than a length in it between the two crews as they crossed the finish line. There, congratulations to both Glebe crews. And with the 2.8s over the finish line there, that is the final race for the Glebe JB Sharp Regatta for 2023. Thank you very much to the huge crowd we've had down here at the Sydney University Women's Rowing Club and also at the Glebe Rowing Club, watching these fantastic events come over the line. We will see you all in 2 weeks down at the UTS Rowing Club for the UTS Haberfield Regatta. Thank you very much.